So here's one thing that I definitely know about going after your dreams. It can be flippin' terrifying. If you've been scared to dream, this is for you. I know it can be so hard to overcome our fears, so much so that sometimes we feel like it can be safer to not say what we want than to actually put out in the universe and say, this is exactly what I want. It's super terrifying to tell someone else about your dreams because they're going to come back and say, well, did you do it yet? And they might have different thoughts about your dreams and why are you building that and why do you want those things, especially if you don't want the same things that they want. So if we write out our dreams and say the things that we want, sometimes we have this underlying fear that says, well, what if it doesn't happen? Hmm. If you ever felt this way, I want to share Leah's story because that's one of the first things she talks about overcoming through my program called Meant for More. She was able to move from this place of not only am I scared to put my dreams down on paper, to I put them down on paper. I know exactly what I want. I feel clarity around it. And the things that I want to see happen are happening way faster than I thought they ever would. So I am inviting you to listen in on the check-in that I had with Leah about her doing just the first two phases in my Meant for More program, where she is writing out her comprehensive 10-year vision of what she wants in all 8 areas of her life and how that experience has been for her. And then we'll check back in at the end. Okay, so then let's go ahead and jump in because this could be a hell of a conversation. And we could also, where that's kind of humans, I could get off and have 2 hours on other conversations as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in on that. So tell me, how was it? Where are you at with it? How are you feeling today? Like, give me the update, what it feels like right now.
In this moment. Actually, I was just having a session, which is why I was late. I was having a session with someone who I've just seen like just tremendous progress in, tremendous
Mm-hmm.
progress. And as he was listening, I was just sort of sitting with myself and sitting with him and sitting in all of the things that were going on. And I had this feels like a lot of my parts that were concerned about what it might be like to dream about, the future and what Clear the Way could be have really settled. And as they settled, I felt like um palatable inspiration, palatable, like, oh, I can do this sort of feeling. And that was just literally 10 minutes ago. So I'm feeling really, really great going through the process. I'm so grateful that we pushed this
Yay! I'm glad that felt good.
banging through it. But so the actual process was a lot of fun. It was really interesting to get some of the clarity that I don't feel like I've had in the past. And then to actually go through, I mean, I got a friend out really quick because to go through this, 2 years ago and to go through it now or 3 years ago now, I was like, damn, I'm so proud of you.
I told you it changed a lot.
I'm so
Yay!
proud of you. Yeah, like so fucking proud of you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That was really fun to be like, damn, I'm just so grateful that you're my best friend.
Yay. I
So
needed
that
that
feeling,
today.
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. I talk about you all the time at work, and people like know your name because of how much I talk about you. And I was sharing today. This is one of those tangents. I was sharing today that I was like, well, I was talking to Rashida about our meeting last week because I was really trying to gain some clarity on what I was experiencing. Um, and she was saying how it sounds like this a visionary and he could really use a whiteboard, and said, "Oh, Rashida sounds very smart. She's bang on. She's bang on. It's exactly what he needs." So that's great. Uh,
Yay. I love it.
and then the 10-year vision.
Hmm.
Well, I'm gonna go from the 6 month, 1 year, 5 year, 10.
Hmm.
That process was really fun. I was finding that the 5 and 10 year, I got stuck because I was like, well, I need Nathan. Like, I don't know what we're gonna try to do or where we're gonna try to be, but it was still a really fun process. And then going into the 10-year vision and sitting down with Nathan, it was really interesting because part of me, I don't know, I think that there was this element for him where he was like, shit, I don't really know what I want. I don't know where
Mm.
I want to go. And I don't. And it was cute because then he was like, I need to go sit with this. And he did. And yeah, I feel really clear specifically on the channels that I want to make money from.
Mhm.
I'm feeling really clear about that. I feel like there's this new clarity around what it is we want as a couple and what we're trying to build our life to be. So that's feeling really good. And then I'm also I'm just feeling like it's really doable. Like
Yeah.
less like less like it's this big scary thing that I don't know what I want, or I don't know where to go, or I don't know, to yeah, I kind of do know. Um and realizing people always say like you're not afraid of failure, you're afraid of succeeding and that sort of thing. And realizing that that's part of what I was actually feeling, where I was like, it's safer not to say what you want. And it's
Mhm.
safer, you perceive safety around I don't have goals,
Mhm.
then I don't have to worry about not reaching them or reaching
Yeah. Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's made it feels like the next 10 years and beyond feel more manageable, feel more accessible, and I'm feeling a genuine curiosity and excitement for it.
That's good. I
Yeah.
love it. So then my question for you now, what still feels unclear?
Hmm. I'm gonna look at my notes. Interesting. Yeah, I think the things that feel unclear for me right now, and
Mhm.
it's interesting because I'm even questioning whether or not it feels clear because of the last 10 minutes that I just had with my client. But
Mhm.
when I consider one of the channels that I have, so I have a total of four channels for sure, and then the fifth channel is a question mark. Um, four channels that I want essentially, and one of them is a course or one or two courses
Mhm.
that can be a passive stream of income. The thing that I don't feel clear about, and I don't actually feel like I need to feel clear about it, but is what do I talk about,
Mhm.
and like what is my message, and how is it different from any other message that you could get out from any other human? Um, do I actually have things that are no, I know that I have things that are worthwhile to listen to, but what is the actual narrative and problem that I'm helping someone solve, and how could that all be translated into a course? Is my curiosity.
Got it.
Yeah, without repeating just like everything else that's already out there, because I obviously don't want
So that's is that the only thing that feels unclear?
I'm looking, and I'll just say that that's part of the clarity that I just felt like I got sitting with my client, where I recognize that there's a part of me that doesn't know what the course is, and that's fine. There's a part that's
Mhm.
uncertain.
Mhm.
If I ask her to step back and I just sit in the confidence and clarity of myself and like love, then I know that it will come.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that clarity before 10 minutes ago. So
Okay.
that feels really great. I'm looking. I guess there's this other question. This is probably, I mean, it's within the scope here, but it's also a bigger question that I'm been wrestling with. And that is, I'm becoming, I'm uncertain of what I believe around Christianity,
Mm.
and have felt like I have peeled back so many things that I would have considered as requirements of my beliefs before, to where I've ended in a place that feels um, kind of bare and like uh, minimalistic. If spirituality was minimalistic, I feel like I'm there. And just like,
Yes.
right? And like curious, like I had this experience yesterday where I was meeting with a new coworker who just got onboarded, and we're talking and I'm sharing a little bit of my story. And then she said, "Oh, you're a believer." And the recoil in me, I had to like
Mhm.
keep my face from making a face. Because and then she said, "Oh, so and so told me you are." And I
Mm.
felt like I was like, that would have used to hotwired a connection between me and this person, and now it's having the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just not certain, okay, well, then what does that mean
Yeah.
for my message,
Mhm.
that I have to give away? And so going through I'm gonna tie it back to this, the
Yeah, yeah,
spiritual
yeah.
life of the 10-year vision was
Mhm.
really interesting, because I've not this has all just been happening internally for me. I've not done any
Mhm.
sort of journaling or writing about it. So getting some of what I believe currently on the page was helpful. but there's still just a lack of clarity around it, and I think that will continue to unfold kind of on its own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the only other piece of kind of murkiness I think right now is this tension between our relational life, specifically the desire to be around my parents. Nathan has the desire, and I say Nathan because not that I don't have the desire, but it's not a driving impulse for me. Nathan
Mm-hmm.
has the desire to be around his family, and then our desire to be around friends. And that tension between that and this huge desire we have for having like 20 acres of land and wanting to live out somewhere where we can do that and have, all the other things that we say we want in our life, and the uncertainty of how are both going to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the answer to that.
I'm kind of like tearing up because these are the actual conversations that people don't pause to acknowledge, and they wonder why they look back and say life
Mhm.
didn't turn out the way they thought, because you never stopped to realize that you wanted things that were going in different directions anyway. So you went after that. It's not even that it went in different directions. You didn't stop to see how that puzzle fit together. And so you went that direction thinking that everything was going to be that way, but something was over here because you didn't actually take a step back and look at how it all fits back together. And so just the beauty of you taking this time to stop and say, this is actually some tension going on. I'm not quite sure how these puzzle pieces are going to fit together. And it's not saying that they can't. I just don't know how they fit together right now. It's such a beautiful acknowledgement and seeing of one potential, and also potential, how potential could go in many different directions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
So I
wow.
just give you so much applause and like kudos and all the love for that. Come on.
Well, and I think that the way that the process led out too was it's so solidifying, starting with who you are and then going into the values, and specifically the values requiring you to only pick two. That
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, I sent you that Marco of like, oh my God. Like I realized I have two values. One is relationship, the other is the profound. Anything that
Mm.
is profound,
Yeah.
that's and for me, that encapsulates, I think, of what I believe about spirit, about God, about
Yeah.
joy, is
Yeah.
relationship and the profound, and the way that those two things go together. And that's
Yeah.
why I also feel this tension of my relationship with my people.
Yeah.
And I see the reason why I want 20 acres of land and
Yeah.
moderate size house, but then like gardens and wildlife and this and that and a third, is because it feels like the tangible of profound. And
Mm-hmm.
so my two values are in these
Mm-hmm.
two things. And so there's,
Yeah.
just a lot of tension. But now I know why, right? Like why
Yeah.
there's tension, because my
Yes.
values feel uh, curiously at odds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I love that. Understanding why and seeing what the tension is like, so we
mhm.
feel it, but we don't know what it is. And so we kind of like feel around in the dark trying all of
Yes.
these things because we've never really pinpointed what the tension is from. But when you pinpoint what it is, then you can actually get to the root of it and actually make decisions for yourself, which is just,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good. It's so good. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Um, yeah.
Good. I love
Um,
it.
I'm also trying to make approximately 216K per year.
Hey, I love it. I'm into it. I'm into it. It's funny. This is a tangent. I won't stay on it long, but I've been evolving my business stuff, which I'm always doing because that's who I am. But
Yeah.
the reason I pause and say my target market at this moment is the person who's been similar to you. They're the corporate person who has this side hustle that they're finally realizing this could be something more than a side hustle. And their first financial goal is to start with making 100K a year and then grow to 300K a year. And they're quite happy with it being that, because anything more than that takes away some of the personal touch. It takes away the ability to travel. It
Literally
takes
how I
away to
feel.
exactly all the things that they have other passion for. Anything more than that starts to take away from that. And they're quite happy with 300K a year. And not only that, like if they have 300K a year and they're building their fire number, they can be set for life.
Come on.
Like they can retire soon. So it's this anti-vision, it's this anti-capitalism vision of
Yes.
I can make money and live right
Yes.
now. I don't
Oh,
have to wait later, but I also don't have to be a beach bum either. It's something so more beautiful in between that. And so all of that to say, you're a great muse for this.
I'm so glad. Well, and what was so interesting to me was when I started to break down the channels.
Mhm.
I'm gonna share with you. I have so my first channel would be working with clients, and I broke
Uh-huh.
down like how much, and I didn't think too much about it. I just said how much would I charge, and what's my ideal amount that I'd be working a week, and how many months out of the year do I actually want to work? So I
Yeah.
said working with clients only 17 hours a week, only 10 months a year. Right?
Yeah.
I want to be doing it so I can really show up for them.
Yeah.
That and then second channel, speaking, imparting, and teaching. I said, yo, my speaking rate is going to be $1,000 an hour
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's what I see in the market. So that
Yeah.
I said, yeah, like what I would consider reasonable would be like 2 hours a month, 10 months a year, and there'll be
Mhm.
fluctuation.
Yeah.
The third channel was courses. So 1 to 2 courses, $500 each, selling five a month. Which I don't know if that's reasonable. I don't know have any background in it, but fourth channel, consulting
Yes. Okay. I love that.
license.
That's switching your yes. Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Come on.
Yes.
Come
Do
on.
it. And only pick the part of it that you love. Yes.
Because I'm not trying to do all the other.
Yes. And you
Yes.
get to choose it and they can't pull you and rope you into all of these other
Yeah.
things that you come on. Okay. You know I'm getting excited. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll be
Yeah.
quiet.
Consulting $100 an hour because I know that's what they pay their consultants. And then I said
Mhm.
10 hours a quarter, which is the setup that we have with a lot of our consultants.
Uh-huh.
So it would be bringing in out of all my channels, it's bringing in the least amount of money. It's only bringing $4,000 a year, and
Uh-huh.
um, I'm realizing that I don't have the intention to stay because of the money. I have the
Mhm.
intention to stay because of all the connections it has,
Mm.
all the ways that
Mhm.
I can be connected to other people through that entity, and that's
Through
really
the
powerful.
community.
Mhm.
Yeah, that community hub for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Until you make your own community and then you don't need that either. But I'm always like, come on now. Push that a little more. Push them out. Come on. Okay. Yes. Yes.
And then this fifth channel, well, I guess I have six channels because then I said, I think I would want writing. I'm uncertain of whether or not I'd want to make money from writing or if I'd want writing to be just a nice to have.
Uh-huh.
There could be a channel for writing, but
Yeah.
the fifth channel that I have here is, um, I think ideally, especially with the house stuff that we have going on,
Yeah.
I don't think we'd ever sell this house. I
Okay.
think based on knowing what we know and knowing that we're not going to fix it, and therefore we'd have to disclose it, the fifth channel would be rent,
Okay.
and it would get us about $30,000 a year. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there could be, and I'd have to think, yeah, like how to make that happen so we're not selling the house to buy another one. But that's the thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think too this process, um, it feels like when you actualize what it is inside of you, you put it through your cognition to put it into words, to put it on the paper.
Yeah.
There's also this because there's no longer mystery around it. There's still mystery, but there's no longer it's not all mystery.
Yeah.
Then we could end up in this house and part of our dream, which is this, large property with a lot of land, may not happen. And for some reason it feels because it's out on paper, it feels easier to pivot from it versus
Mm-hmm.
harder.
Yeah.
And I would expect the opposite. Like once you put something down, then you have expectation around it. But it feels more like I put it on the paper. And if it doesn't happen, oh, all right, yeah, because then the 6 month goal, my 6 month goal is to make my front yard a wonder garden. I want my front
Wow.
yard to be an entire wonder garden for bees and birds and bugs and all the other things. And there's something about knowing your 10-year dream that allows you to start stewarding it now. Come
I
on, do you
just
like
teared
that?
up again. I'm probably scaring the crap out of my friend upstairs, but yes, exactly. It makes it so much easier to know what to do today to get to that
Yeah,
because you got it out of your brain and it's not this fuzzy thing
yeah,
anymore. It's
yeah.
like literally you wrote it down and it made it tangible. It made it real. And even if you change your mind, it's okay.
Oh, your little thing is going in and
I
out.
know. It's like, I don't know how to act. She keeps moving.
Well, and getting to steward it today also feels like if I don't ever get 20 acres of land,
Hmm.
I made a version of that dream come true in my front yard.
Hmm.
I didn't lose all of it. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if you think that you're only like if you don't put it in on paper and you don't get clarity around it and you don't make the choice to start sowing into it right now, if you
Uh-huh.
never get the 20 acres of land and you didn't make your front yard a wonder garden, then it feels like, oh, I didn't get it. And so it really, I think there's a lot of empowerment in it. It allows you to make
Yeah.
choices now,
Yeah.
because I could die tomorrow,
Mhm.
but I will have died with a weeded front yard because I did that
Yeah.
all last week. That's my goal is in October.
Yes. And I started the process. Come on.
Yes, I started the process.
Yes.
It's so
I
good.
love it. It's so good. Yes. Oh my gosh, my face is going to be hurting from smiling. And what would you say at this, in the way I'm curious to know from your perspective, what would you say would be the best thing that I could help you with at this moment?
Mm.
I love your thinking face too. You're so stinking cute.
Let me think. Um, when I think about cleared the way, I can see where I would like it to go.
Hmm.
And um, the path to get there feels like, oh shoot, I actually, I'm not sure where to start.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels like my overarching life vision for the next 10 years is like, okay, cool. We've had a
Hmm.
game plan, we can pivot, we're here, we're doing the thing. If I zoom into clear the way, which most of my life vision is being funded by. Oh, side note, we've Nathan and I have talked about this a little bit, but where we came to was the most ideal situation is that he's not working
Okay.
and he's raising our kids.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other thing that makes that so exciting, that's happening in a lot of families right now. A
Mm,
lot of families' aspirations, or a lot of women who come into business right now, their goal is to retire their husbands.
come on.
I love it. Okay, tell me
No.
more. Tell me how that came to pass.
Well, so Nathan, we've had this kind of curiosity, especially as we're thinking about kids. I, I'm the like, I'm almost double what he makes. Um,
Okay.
I make almost as much as he makes just with Clear the way it is right now. He makes
Wow.
not very much money, and it's a real shame. It is not a
Yeah.
good way. But with that, we're thinking, well, if we have kids, I mean, and we need to put them into daycare of any kind, it's basically going to be Nathan's entire salary,
Yeah.
which just seems absurd to pay someone your salary so that they can raise your kid.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. And so that's where the conversation came from. And it was like, well, could you quit your job when we have kids? And would that? And just feeling this, uh, there's a real desire for us to spend not even more time as in I don't know, concentration of time. Like it would just be nice to have him around and
Uh-huh.
to have him trying to keep up two jobs and a house with a dog feels
Hmm.
like a lot. And it's not the way that we want it to be. So
Yeah.
that's where it came from originally. And then when I started, plunking out numbers in my various channels that I think are doable, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, you won't have to work. Um,
Yeah.
and so Nathan, I wrote some of his notes. Um, we want 2 to 3 kids.
I love it. Your whole face was like, I don't know who's popping out these kids now.
Uh-huh. I'm like, yo, it is so easy for you to say you want 3 freaking children. You are not the one.
He's got to
Uh,
carry them bad boys.
I said 1. I said 1. He said, "Well, like 2 to 3." And I said 1 to 2. And he goes, 2 to 3. And I was like, okay, so 2 to 3. And and then where is this at? Um Nathan, yeah, he wants to work anywhere between 0 to 20 hours a week. And then the work that he would be doing, he'd be really interested in working with older populations, so 50 plus, and then saying that working at a cash pay private practice, so not playing into the game of insurance. And then we were tossing around this idea of building up a practice around aging well.
Okay.
Everything that would go into that, so
Yeah.
and physical and everything else, aging well,
Yeah.
and then having a facility, a garden gym on our property where he would be working with people.
Uh-huh.
So that's and then we both agreed that if it was this private practice, he could work as much or as little as he wanted,
Hmm.
and it could
Especially
just
once the kids go to school.
mhm. And
Yeah.
because he has in medical, like he could get a job if the kids went to school and he's like, okay, now what? He could go back and get a job if he wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where that came from.
Wow. I love
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
Okay.
And now I'm looking at my notes, which makes me think of another thing, and that was, when I was doing my purposeful life, it was so interesting to do professional and then purposeful
Uh-huh.
because the way that it's oriented for me is they are literally one and the same,
Uh-huh.
which
Uh-huh.
I'm so thankful for. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's really great.
Yeah.
Um, I forget what we were talking about before this.
No. So the question was, being that you've gotten so much from this
Mhm.
process, you've gotten so much clarity. Like, what is it that you need now? And you were starting to say along the path of you've gotten a lot of clarity, and but it's still not the way I'm taking it is like it's still not down to it's clear at the 40,000 foot view. It's not clear at the 5 foot view yet.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like I have the why and I have
Mm-hmm.
the what. I don't have the
Mm-hmm.
how.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So
and
here's the, oh, go
okay,
ahead.
tell me. No, no, no.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Tell me.
Oh, I was just, and it feels interesting to me because I have the how. I feel like I have a measure of the how for what I need right now, right?
Uh-huh.
Clear the way is doing what I need it to do. It
Yeah.
I put some work in on the front end, and then it started doing what I needed it to do, and I was like, "Well, this is great." And so now that I'm saying, "Well, the needs are shifting," I'm curious what work needs to go into it now so that it will do what it needs to do for me in a year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna level expectations again.
Okay.
I'm saying that I'm leveling expectations because the answer that you are looking for was not going to happen in an hour today.
Mhm.
But I do have a whole nother phase that we just didn't get into that will literally walk you through every bit of that. So we make another touch point. Any revelations or anything, conversations that you want to bring up, or um, all of those things, then we continue to do. But then I feel like where you and I are really going to get into the mix of it is when you get to the place where it's in the next section. It's
Mhm.
pretty much
Okay.
like you're going to get to this point where like we've done the high level. You got like the big picture. You remember how I used to say it's like I got this big massive picture and it's not clear yet. It was pixelated. Remember I used to
Mhm.
talk
I
about that
do
a lot.
remember
So
that.
now that big picture, I've been giving you the steps to make that clear up that pixelation and to be able to make it clear for you. And now it's like going back in and adding all the details and pulling out the different parts and how that all comes together. All of that to say, the next step really, since you've really just hit this, knocked it out the park, Chiquita. Like beautiful, beautiful. Is yes, girl. It's down the street. They it ain't even behind. Like they have to go send somebody in a car to go get that thing. Go get on your bike to go get that ball because it's down the street. Okay, or just call it a lost cause. It's gone. You did it. Okay. So once you do the big picture and you get all of these things out of your head, now we start focusing things in. And so the next step is about creating your 10-year vision map, which is like you got the detailed version, the 22-page version. Now you're going to create the like 1-page summary of it. And that
Mhm.
gives you, okay, here's the focal point. You're really like focusing in. Now that I've looked at all of these things and I've really got this down on paper, I can probably pick out a theme. Sometimes people have a hard time with that. So if you have a hard time with that, let me know. So you pick out the focus and then you pick out, this is where we start getting into, you've heard of like OKRs, right?
I was working
So
on this today.
so I actually love taking OKRs and bringing them into a personal perspective
Mm,
because then you take,
mm,
okay, if this is my objective, this is my focus. Now here's how that breaks down to an objective in each of those 8 periods places of life. And
mm,
then what are the key results to make that tell me that give me a measuring point to that objective. And
mm,
then once you have that, we break it down even further, but that's where your next steps go. So now we've been up here and you're bringing it down and you're bringing it down and you're bringing it down and you're bringing it down. And so the part that you're feeling is
mm,
like, I'm glad we got that clear and I'm ready for the next step. That's what I'm hearing you say
mhm,
is that you're just ready for the next step. And so
mhm.
that's why I'm kind of feeling like, I mean, we could continue to, I love all of this. We could talk about this all the time, but it's really just going to be giving you the space to do the next steps, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing, and I think this is really important. This is a value that I have for Clear the Way, and that, uh, there is purpose behind this being a short-term thing.
Mm-hmm.
The intention that was baked into choosing this to be a short-term thing is because you ought to go through these 9 months in your case, 4 to 6 months in my case, and be different.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to end at 6 months and you'll be the same. I
Right.
don't if
Yeah.
that happens, I didn't do my job.
Yeah.
At 6 months, at whatever time, you ought to feel like, "You know what? I'm ready for the next leg in my journey."
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we might still walk together in some respect at some point, but I
Yeah.
think that's really, really beautiful.
So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
So what do you think is a reasonable like what do I do now? Where do I go now?
So pretty much you're really just going to keep going to the next steps. Like you don't
Okay.
have to overthink it or anything like that. I am going to send you notes for
Okay.
there's notes that I took from our session, which is not a whole bunch. I took some stuff at the beginning, but the main thing is that you'll get the recording from it. And then you'll get that in the DM section that's here inside of Mighty Networks. Okay. So that'll be a document from ClickUp that you'll be able to see. And if you have any issues accessing it, you'll just let me know.
Okay.
So this phase, the main things that you get into after you create your vision focal point, you create your 10-year objectives, then you create your 10-year key results, and then you give yourself 5-year milestones. Once you have those things, then we actually start breaking it down into what are your routines and habits, which you'll have some of that already. So you'll work on your realistic week and you'll choose your goals for this year. Now we're halfway through the year. You might want to decide that you only want to choose goals for now through the end of the year, and that's fine. You just have to decide, are you one of those people that prefer it to be on the calendar year or not? And that's either way is fine. And then we get into ideating your next steps. And so when you get into that phase, this is where we'll start prioritizing, okay, well, what's the most important thing you want to work on now? And if it's the course or if it's scaling Clear the Way, we start with the first one, we ideate that together, we put steps down, we put it like literally schedule it in your calendar, and then you decide, okay, let's work on that for a little bit. Do I have space to add more because that needs a longer runway to get started or whatever? And if so, then we move to your next priority. We ideate what the next steps are. We do the same process. You put that into place. And we do that as we go. The other thing that we'll also be doing is these quarterly check-ins. So 3-4 times a year, it's either a quarterly check-in or an annual check-in that's saying, how do I reset yourself for next year? You know what I mean? So again, like I said, we get to this point where we are breaking it down. You just hadn't quite got to it yet. So really your next steps are just to keep taking the course and then keep checking in any place where you get stuck. This is huge. Do not get stuck and stay there.
Okay.
That's usually why I check in with people, and you have not had that issue. So I'm not worried. But
Okay.
I've been doing it with people because this is such a foreign thing for them. Like every single thing, not everything, I'm dramatic. Some people, a lot more things get them stuck, whereas that's not been for you. And you're also
Well,
in
I
a very
also
curious place of that too.
yeah, and my best friend happens to be this person that created it, and I just happen to get to talk to her every week, and I just happen to have known her and lived with her for the last 5 years. So I may have a little bit of an advantage.
Exactly.
Plus, I got
love
Regina's
that.
voice in my head saying, "Don't overthink it, just breathe." So
Yes,
I got the track.
exactly. So
Um,
yes.
I do have a question about the when you say like we'll pick the number one priority. When I'm thinking of that, I'm also thinking, okay, from a business perspective, right? The brand and the voice and the this and the that and the third and the like all the different elements of the business. Those are all under the priority list, and then you pick
Yes.
the one that's the next step. Okay.
So here's actually, no, look at that a little bit differently. Okay. When I say the priority, there's 8 different parts of your life. You've chosen 8 objectives. Probably half of those objectives are things that are habit goals, and half of them are probably achievement goals. So when I look at my own, the things that I have in my spiritual part of my life are all habit goals. So what that means is, as long as I have I have some kind of regular practice or routine of spiritual development, which mine used to be reading the Bible every day, which right now is just kind of honing my listening skills to the Lord. So it's a little more ambiguous than it usually is. It's more about staying present in my body and acknowledging my emotions and all of those things, which you have
Oh,
so much
Rashida.
developed, man. Yes.
Oh, Rashida.
I know. You would actually be so proud of some of the things I've been experiencing the last 24 hours and how I've navigated that process. So, but that is a habit. You know what I mean? Those are things that always need to be happening. That's a foundation. Whereas an achievement goal has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay.
And so you're prioritizing the achievement goals because the habit goals are always happening. And that's not to say that you can't work on more than one achievement goal at a time. I'm currently working on 4 achievement goals. I'm working on getting my weight under control. I'm working on dating. And I'm working on getting my tiny house, and I'm working on scaling my business. So I have 4 that I'm working on, but they're literally things that I schedule in, some that get scheduled in more than others based on how long of the runway it takes for me to get it done.
Uh-huh.
So when I say like prioritize, I'm saying that I think of it in each section of life rather than breaking it down to each task.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I think I need a visual, but I'm sure the course will bring me through it, so that's great.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to make sure that doing this will cover the elements that I need to be thinking about for clear the way in order to do the things that I've said I wanted to do
Oh,
in
for sure.
this. Okay, great. That's all I need to know.
Yeah,
That's great.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Every morning, I have an hour of reading. I work out, and then I shower, and then I have an hour of doing something for clear the way. Typically, it's going through a course. I have replaced my course hour with this for the last 2
Uh-huh.
weeks. What I'm going to do instead is say, I want to do 3 days of my course and 2 days of working on this, and that
Yeah.
feels like a balance.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. I love it. Just the fact that you even schedule it out, usually that's something I have to walk people through. So,
Oh, I got that part. My life is so routine.
and you know what? Yeah, that's one of the other things. Because remember, you used to always ask me, what's your morning routine? And it's funny because I intrinsically had it, but you are the human that made me bring it to front of mine. And it's
Ah,
so much a part of my course now.
I
So
love
much a
that.
part of it.
Heck yeah. I love that. I
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I sometimes when I think about like when folks literally don't have a morning routine or like don't have, oh, what do you is it literally every different every day? Like what are you
Mhm.
doing?
And half the time they don't know.
They don't know. They don't
They have
know.
no clue.
Right. Yeah, I feel
Uh,
like too I'm hopeful, like, I'm imagining you have clients I know that I have clients where they go through Clear the Way, and they go through the restoration journey, and one of the elements that I see emerge out of the journey is this clarity of what is
mhm.
it they want to do,
Mhm.
clarity of they want to quit their job, and they want to do XYZ, or they want to
Yeah.
do whatever it is, um, and I always have you as this kind of next step in my mind, especially if I'm working with an entrepreneur, which I am right now, oh, once we get all your like pipes clear, once you're receiving love and you can identify your parts and all of that, I can imagine your course being such an important next step, like
Mm.
such an important next step. Because
Mhm.
even though folks may be receiving love, it doesn't necessarily mean they know what to do with it,
Mhm. Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yep.
So, and I just think it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's good.
I am literally with you on this journey through however it progresses for you. And I'm actually, it's really kind of cool to see how this conversation you are when I talk about like dreaming with the Lord, it's I can see it even more when I take myself out of the equation and just give someone the
Mhm.
same journey he gave me and see how he shows up in them, you
Mm,
know? So
mm.
beautiful.
But you are such an important you're such an important attribute in the whole journey because
Mhm.
without you, people get stuck and they start living on the side of the mountain and you're like, "Why are you here? You were supposed to keep walking." And or, "Oh, you took a left when you were supposed to take a right," or,
Mhm.
"Hey, we gotta, set up camp because you need to rest." Um,
Mhm.
and it's just really important.
Just a person that
No,
is appreciating being a part of the journey.
yeah,
A
yeah, yeah.
guide. I'm a guide.
A guide, you're a guide.
Yes. Yes. I love talking to Leah. As she said, she's one of my favorite people in the world. She's been a part of my program from when it started back in 2019. And then she came back and did everything again back in 2023. And I say that to say, our dreams are evolving, and she's recognized how great it is to come back to our vision because it can get lost like a sock in the laundry. So, she specifically wanted me to tell you, on top of this, her coming back even to the recording that we've done of this session has always been very encouraging for her to keep coming back to her vision because that's part of what reminds us to keep on track, to stay on track, to keep moving towards the things that we want so that we don't get to a place where the things that we want don't manifest. This ability to stay connected to our vision is a huge part of what makes our vision happen. And I help all of my clients do that and my general community do that through my program called Meant for More, in addition to when people join us for Freedom Fridays and our monthly reflection sessions. So, hey, I'm Rashida. I'm a life coach for Black women, corporate professionals, and entrepreneurs who are tired of being burnt out and want to create a work less, live more lifestyle. On this channel, I talk about letting go of workaholism and practical ways to create the softer life that we want, in addition to using vision to redefine success and living my own passions like eating good food, traveling, and physical wellness. All are things that you will hear about here. So, if you're interested in learning more about this program and this process that Leah has walked through and she's telling you about in this video, I would love for you to check out my free webinar where I walk through the exact process that I take my clients through on how to do these four things. Number one, we're going to talk about how to reinvent your identity without work being the core. Number two, how to create a long term vision. Then, number three, how to break that long term vision down into life systems, especially regardless of whether you're a corporate professional and or an entrepreneur. You could be both. We're going to break down both your life and business systems that will simplify and help you put your balance on autopilot. And then from there, we take action to create and build that work life balance and that lifestyle freedom that you desire. If you're interested in that webinar, make sure you go ahead to the description and click on the link webinar.yourdreamstrategist.com to get free access. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.